Hello, welcome back to my RP-0 American career here. So I've got the first sounding rocket ready to go. It's been a little while since I last played, so just to refresh myself, it looks like I've got another sounding rocket ready to go. I don't offhand recall which one was the light one and which one had the science, and I built that first variant of the V2. So it looks like if you compare the times, it looks like the construction cost slash time of the V2 is about double the other, but still under a month, not too bad. I don't recall offhand if like year zero, day zero is 1951, the very beginning of 1951, but that's the kind of the rough analog or timeline we're working with RP-0. So there we go. My screen's a little dim, so I'm just going to the launch pad. Yeah, so I built all three of these rockets in the last video, and then I had them all in the construction queue. So let's see which ones succeed and which ones fail marvelously. I mean, there's a chance for all of them that the engine could just fail whenever, even if they do okay in tests. So it looks like this one points straight up, lighter fins, yeah, pretty high delta V. Okay, so let's pull open this window. Not sure why this isn't persisting open. Not sure, don't know if I'm doing something weird. But I like that little window that lets me know when an engine failed. So, I guess I just want this to get as high as it can. So, launching it. Oh yeah, and the fins are straight. So yeah, this has the light wings. So the wings are straight, which is, the wings are definitely necessary to, the fins or wings or whatever you want to call them, are definitely necessary to keep it from flipping. Oh, I think you can see the moon on the horizon there. That's cool. I tried it without the fins and it lost. It bit it really hard. Like the real one had fins that were definitely smaller than this, maybe half the total area or less, something like that. If you look up the, I said it in the previous video, but the whack sounding rocket, I think that's what it is. And where is the sun? There's the sun. Yeah, I run it in DirectX 11, so the memory usage is a little higher, but I just like the lighting effects. They're just a lot nicer with DirectX 11 versus OpenGL. So we're doing pretty good. So we're getting to a pretty decent altitude now. Looks like the engine hasn't failed yet. So you can see that number dropping 53 seconds, 40 seconds, and there we go. So it had a pretty high chance to fail, but looks like I'm actually going to cross the Kármán line, depending on how much oomph I lose due to the remaining little bit of air we have here. But even with no spin, so the reason it didn't completely lose it, I mean, if you use FAR analysis or build airplanes, you can look at it in the VAB and figure that out. But it's just basically same as I said, as I was saying before. It's just plowing into the air so hard that it kind of locks into the forward direction. It can't really steer off because there's so much force in any direction. But honestly, I don't build airplanes, so I don't know FAR analysis that well. All right, new records, so a little bit of money each time. That is awesome. And looks like, yeah, more altitude records. I completed a sounding rocket contract, which is great. I'll have to go look to pick up another one. Is there any fresh science up here? Nope. So I just barely crossed the Kármán line, and that's pointing straight up with this thing with no science. So if I were to to tilt it just a little bit to get over some other biomes, I wouldn't be able to do it. You can see really far at this altitude, really far. I can't tell what states those are, but certainly well beyond Florida. There we go. I get so high. There we go. We've crossed the Kármán line because that's where we've leveled up. That's where I have it set to do the PQS scaled space transition. So this is what everything looks like from space. Unfortunately, there's no new science up here, just a huge payout for crossing the Kármán line for the first time. So a lot of the money, a lot of the cash you'll get for RP-0 are for those big firsts. There's repeatable missions like the sounding rockets where you get a bit of money, you can grind them for profit. But for the most, there's a little bit of science there. A little bit of telemetry from the upper atmosphere over the shores. Oh yeah, I opened up this here. Downrange distance is interesting. So it's like if you followed a ground track, like straight down from where I am. I'm just 2 kilometers away from the launch site because I because I aimed straight up. So that's an interesting number when you start to look at V2s, because they had a range of what 250 kilometers or something on that order, so they could launch it from from France into Britain for their bombing runs. To use the V2 as a weapon of war. And so I just figured I'd add that display so we can compare that for different flights. And actually, I think it'll be pretty interesting for to compare. Here, let me just check if there's more science. Oh, did I kill the batteries? No, not quite. I'm not sure why the hotkey isn't working. Analyze, review. Oh, maybe because I didn't reset it. Okay, so now I got all the science I'm going to get. I got all the contracts. I'm just going to warp down until this thing becomes the lawn dart of death. What was I saying about the V2? Oh, yeah, I think it'll be an interesting comparison. So we can see what the downrange distance of this version of my sounding rocket was, which was just pointed straight up. So the downrange distance is going to be less than 10 kilometers. That's where the lawn dart is going to come back down. There we go. So we're starting to hit atmosphere. You can see dynamic pressure, and we're getting slowed down. So we hit like Mach 3. This thing might get decimated just by the aerodynamic heating, but maybe not. Maybe not. Looks like it survived, so it wasn't quite moving fast enough. The G-forces were pretty heinous, but was able to survive being a Mach 3 lawn dart. There we go. So yeah, it's well within sight of our launch pad, only 4 kilometers and change away from it. Very impressive. Whereas when we arc out, if it was an airless planet, which I'm well familiar with the equations for that, if we'd want being at a pitch of 45 degrees, straight up being 90, straight along the ground being 0, we would be able to vapor failed. We would get the maximum range, but of course there's air here, so I'm not quite sure. The right pitch to maximize your range would vary depending on the properties of your rocket. You'd have to do a bit more calculus to account for the drag by the air in order to see what was the best angle, because if you go straight up, you see less air resistance, but then you also pick up less horizontal velocity. But ultimately, it wasn't range the V2 was going for in its original construction, it was accuracy. They were trying to hit cities with it as a weapon. So I'm going to see if I can pick up another sounding rocket contract. 50 kilometers, easy peasy. 420 kilometers is going to be harder. Obviously, there's more payoff. So if you compare, I wish it kind of showed a sum. The sum of those is a little more than that. Obviously, that's inverse. But let's say 1,500 versus my sounding rocket of like 700. So it's about double the payoff to hit 420. But I can't hit that with any of my craft. Now this, let's see, expires duration. So 2 years to do this contract. I definitely don't recommend taking any contract if you don't have the technology to do it. The advanced cache looks nice, but failure and everything is pretty rough. But I'm very confident I'll be able to do this, to carry this out. So I won't take that at the moment, but I will soon enough. I mean, if I can't hit 420 kilometers altitude, just straight altitude, what chance do I have to get something in orbit? I'm going to need some more technology to get into orbit. All right, so my second sounding rocket here. So we can compare, there we go, roll it out, warp to complete, and now my V2 rocket can start working. There we go, so it's ready to launch, but it's night, and I always like to do my launches during the day. There we go. All right, so let's launch. So this one was pitched just a little bit, and it has some science. And in a test run I did, I don't recall offhand if that was recorded or not, but in a test run I was able to get some new science that was on the shore biome, I think. Yeah. Just waiting for this to launch. So these will be kind of the last rockets that I consider pure sounding rockets. Like even that first V2 starts to have some more impressive capabilities. But when I start to if I strap like a rocket like this, I'm guessing my next design will basically be a rocket like this strapped to the nose of a V2. So when the V2 burns out, so it'll be my first stepped rocket, or rocket with stages. So you can see I'm angled just a little bit, so keep an eye on this downrange distance. It's going to change with time. There we go, dropped off. See, it's definitely got a little bit of wobble, but those fins are keeping it from suiciding, so good things. If you It's really cheap. Like I recommend anything. If you make any change to a rocket, even if you've demonstrated the rocket works, just make a small simulation. And the more complex your mission is, the more you have to spend to make a longer mission time. I've had to simulate missions so far out to like an hour length of mission. Obviously, I time warp during it, but long enough that I can. There we go. See, we've already exceeded the downrange distance of the previous one, just with that little bit of pitch we had. And that should let us hit a different biome. There we go. A little more science. I do have the smaller battery in this one, so I can't pick up as much science, unfortunately. But I will survive. And it's nice that I can manually click on these. I might actually end up having to build another one of these sounding rockets to get all the science. Open terminal, analyzed. Looks like I transmitted everything from here. Okay. And that might be everything I get to do. Actually, this one, impressively enough, I'm not entirely sure why, but it got pretty much the same altitude, it looks like, even with the science. So removing all the science bits were not, really didn't benefit as much in the other one. But hey, you live, you learn. Yeah, even like, because once you commit to build a rocket, you have to wait for it to get constructed and all that jazz. There's quite a bit of low sounding rocket complete. Lets me know that was built, but I don't get any more money for crossing the Kármán line. That is a one-time first attempt cash out. Over Earth shores. No new science. Log pressure in a vacuum. Indeed. Analyze. Like when my science instruments yell at me. Yeah, it looks like that's pretty much it. So surface biome shores, unless that changes to, I don't know, ocean or something, that's going to be it. Yeah, I kind of figured that it would. Grasslands? No, that's what I had before. That's like the launch site is grasslands. I figured it would work without fins, just because apparently I'm wrong. But I did a quick, it cost me like 5 credits or something to do a test, and which demonstrated me as being really wrong. Rather than me kind of investing time and thought, oh, there we go, over Earth's water. So I can totally get some more science over Earth's water. I'm just running out of batteries. So I think I might end up building another one of these, or I suppose the V2 is going to cover that, because it's going to arc over much more. I'm going to have active control of it. So this one is going to smash into Earth's water, isn't it? Log pressure data. Probably don't have enough power to transmit it. Nope, did not. Yeah, it's definitely worth doing many kind of design simulation runs with your craft. And whenever you do something uniquely new, like if you relight a stage or you set up a craft with a second stage, anything you're unfamiliar with, it is totally worth it. Oh, and I think I ran into a bug that I've run into before, but that's okay. That's a good enough length of video. I'll leave the V2 launch for the next one. See, for some reason, I think if my camera intercepts the crazy water of this mod, sometimes the game will freeze. I think that's what happened here, but that's okay. 2 sounding rockets off, video just under 15 minutes. I'm happy with that. So we'll have the first V2 launch next, and hopefully we can get some fresh science with it. It won't be the first vehicle to cross the Kármán line, but it might also cross the Kármán line. We'll find out. Tune in next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.